Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. I'm quite obsessed with making videos, but I hope you enjoy this video. I thought it's just for a bit of fun. I know I often do these football videos, and I covered them a while back about Milan, but I thought I would cover some more recently as I had all these ideas. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and as ever, I'd love to read your comments and that sort of thing. And yeah, try not to be too cringeworthy or too boring, and uh, can't think of what else to say for the intro. But yeah, as ever, please do post your comments or any ideas or suggestions. And here are some of my dreams or visions for Inter Milan. I know I often mention this, but I have a really weird sort of thing for Italian football where I support all the Italian teams, even the rival teams. So yeah, so I want to see Italian teams. Basically, my biggest dream for football would be to see Italian football, the national team, be the most successful, the club teams be the most successful, and also for Celtic to be the most successful in terms of Scotland. So yeah, those are my biggest dreams. Like domestically, I'd love to see Celtic do well and maybe even win in Europe and internationally. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling and go through this list of some of my thoughts and ideas more recently. I did have quite a few ideas. I was thinking like I could cover stuff about how I'd love to see investment into Italian football generally and talk about the incentives to invest in Italian football. And I probably did cover that before a while back, like for instance how um, Italy is like one. It's dominated by one sport, unlike other countries generally, which have more than one sport. So that's a good incentive to invest in one in a football loving country, which I suppose is only comparable with like Brazil, perhaps maybe Germany, but which has a league which is more successful than German league or Brazilian league as well. Anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling. And another thing is, as I mentioned on my Facebook, which I hope to post a link for that as well, so you can check out that video in case I covered any different ideas on that one. As I mentioned, sorry, I lost my train of thought again. Sorry. I saw like Chelsea and Man City and teams like that being owned by wealthy owners, and potentially Man United and Liverpool being owned by wealthy owners soon. And I thought it'd be interesting to see Italian teams do that and get back to the glory days. Sorry if I always struggle to get the camera angle in the right way. Anyway, so here goes. So number one, Inter Milan is often called Internationale because it started off having like international players rather than AC Milan, the rivals, which wanted to have more uh, national players. So um, I thought it'd be interesting if international companies invested into Inter Milan. Number two, I think it'd be good if Italian teams like Inter Milan improve relations with African nations and the Black diaspora. So, like, maybe if Black people invest into, I suppose it's a controversial idea because you could say, should Italian football or Italians be rewarded for being prejudiced or being racist or whatever? But it'd be interesting if people from the Black diaspora, how we pronounce it, diaspora, or whatever, um, and the Black community, sorry, and Africa itself, especially like Africa's sovereign wealth funds, if I can speak properly, invested into Italian football. I think that'd be interesting. Like if Italians saw that there's a benefit from being less racist, because that would mean Italian football can improve the image around the world and help Italian teams do well. And I know Italian teams don't always get along with each other, but and many Inter Milan fans, because they're rivals with Juventus, were probably laughing or probably many Inter Milan fans would laugh at Juventus because they're struggling and they were in trouble for financial irregularity. If I can speak properly, I think hopefully you know what I mean. Someone out there, but yeah, because of that financial irregularities. Um, but I think that is bad for all Italian teams, really. And so I think Italian teams should root for each other when they play in Europe. I know I have to mention that point, but yeah, I was thinking recently, like, what if Africans made online games and video games where you could play as, say, Inter Milan and have wealthy owners and have unlimited money or so much money and buy the best possible players around the world and that sort of thing. I think that'd be quite interesting. So hopefully that would improve relations as well as like Africans and including sovereign wealth funds investing into football teams like Italy, and in return, hopefully they'll help each other to train. So Italians will help to pass on their knowledge of football to people from across Africa, and also hopefully they'll help African businesses and Africans in tech and things like that in return for So it'd be like an exchange. I hope that made sense. And I'd love to hear what you think about that idea as well as all my other ideas. Number 3, as I mentioned again on my Facebook, which I again hope to post a link in the comments. I think like I have these patterns, like alliterations are one of them you might have noticed, but also like a number that reminds me of 4. I'd like to put fourth in a sentence. So like IBM for Inter Milan, so IBM to invest in Inter Milan, and P.I.F for Inter Milan. So I'd love for companies like that all to have shares in many companies as possible. Number 4, that includes like Fortune 500 companies as well as sovereign wealth funds for Inter Milan and things like that. Number 5, as I say, I'd love for as many companies as possible to invest in Inter Milan, and if it'd be cool if, like, I think all things should be done legally with a long-term plan, so it's not like a short-term fix where like money's invested but later on is pulled out or whatever. I think it should be done for long-term growth of the club, in this case Inter Milan. Or I'd love for that in all the town teams, so they make sure they're within the law and that sort of thing, and it's like got plans for the future, like 5 to 10 year plans. John Bobbitt asked me a question in the comments, which I think is off topic, so I don't really want to answer that because I don't think it's appropriate for this topic. Anyway, number 6, as I say, I think it'd be cool if investors into Italian football teams like Inter Milan made sure they did so legally within the rules of FIFA, UEFA, and other football governing bodies. But I think Serie A or whoever runs whoever runs Italian football, the FIGC, and whoever else, even Italian politicians, should help Italian teams to make sure they operate within the law, but also to help it to be easier for investors to invest, like offer tax exemptions, which I've talked about before, and that sort of thing. Number 7, I would love for Inter Milan and other Italian teams as much as possible to have a partnership with Celtic and like to train together, practice together, and share ideas and knowledge together and help each other to achieve success. So I hope Celtic will help Italian teams, both the national team and youth teams, especially, and also club teams do as well as possible, including in Europe and internationally. And also in return, Italian teams hopefully will pass on knowledge and help Celtic as well. And maybe people who invest in one could invest in the other as well. Again, I hope that made sense. Number 8, again, I would love for Inter Milan and other Italian teams to tackle hate and prejudice, and all forms of hatred and extremism and that sort of thing. Number 9, I hope again that they'll have a vision and 5 to 10 year plans, and I'd love to see choreography and art from Inter Milan fans and like artists for Inter and things like that as well, like I say, similar for other Italian teams. And number 10, I hope they will invest in and develop the youth and that sort of thing. And I'd love to read from fellow Italian football fans, especially in this case Inter fans, and I hope to make similar versions for AC Milan. I know that's a bit quirky of me, again, a bit strange to me, but I'd love to hear what you think, and like ideas you didn't like or ideas you did like. What were your least or most favorite? And I think I'll leave this video on a friendly challenge for potential viewers, which is to list your least and most favorite ideas in order. And I am out. Peace and love.